If you struggle to start and finish art projects, this makes everything easier. And while I draw this, learn the best ways to start and maintain any art project, personal and professional. And hey, wouldn't it be great if you actually finished it and felt proud of yourself? Oh, and this works for anybody. Now, as a quick precursor to everything I'm about to go over in this video today, I want to help you understand that through doing this has helped me acquire my own personal projects, complete finished work. It's gone ahead and helped me through art school, and I want to impart this onto you so that you no longer have to approach your art projects at the beginning, even avoiding starting right there, so that you can actually get stuff done. And look, I understand exactly how you feel, because especially if you have a really big project and you've got one, let me know down below what it's gonna be, because I'll love to go ahead and support you throughout that journey, friend. But you're gonna feel some level of anxiety, you're gonna feel some level of dread, you're gonna feel some level of uncertainty, right? And let me just go ahead and tell you that is perfectly natural, it's perfectly normal. And if you don't feel that way, I don't know, you're blessed. But I want you to just understand this. Anxiety will always be persistent throughout any project, but how do you go ahead and beat that? Action destroys anxiety every single time. And so throughout this video, what I want to go ahead and impart to you are action-based steps that you can take, and I've got a whole slew of different strategies that you can use and different actual practical things that you can acquire in order to actually get stuff done. And so this is going to give you the perfect blueprint for you to go ahead and achieve any big, awesome dream that you have. And you might even be thinking to yourself, well, Sean, I don't have the motivation, or I'm not sure how this is going to go, or what if I fail, or I feel overwhelmed by it. And listen, friend, I got you up on that. And this is how you have to approach it. We have to approach everything with action. It starts with step one right here. All right, so starting off with step one here, you need to go ahead and destroy the most common hang-up. And whenever you have a great idea, no matter what it's going to be, if it's a single artwork, if it's multiple artworks, if it's a big, huge honking project, okay, you're going to say, I need to research this. And you're gonna think to yourself, well, I need to research, I don't wanna do anything wrong, I wanna make sure I get this right. And all of those are perfectly valid. I validate you, my friend. But here's the problem with that. Your ideas are going to die at this phase more often than they are going to live most of the time. Why? Simply because of the fact that the more time you spend in research, the less time you spend in actual production. What we want to do is, again, we want to jumpstart you. And so what I recommend that you need to do is you need to limit down your research phase. So let's just say that you want to go ahead and open up an Etsy shop. Let's say that you want to go ahead and publish a comic. Let's say that you want to make a video game. Okay, cool. Well, you might need to go ahead and watch some YouTube videos. Okay, limit yourself down to no more than 3 to 5 videos. After that, guess what? You can do that on your own time. You can do that and listen to them while you're washing the dishes, while you're taking a shower, while you're riding the train to work. And then let's just say that you want to start a single artwork, okay? Let's say that you have a really cool project. Let's say that you're doing a book cover. Let's say that you're being commissioned, or you just have your own personal characters you want to design, okay? You're going to go ahead and initiate that reference phase, okay? And tell me, like, have you ever spent way too much time, gone down that rabbit hole references? Because again, you need to limit that. So one of my own personal practices is, before I start, is I only give myself 1 hour. After 1 hour, I can accumulate mostly everything I need. And one of the best pieces of advice I can give to you for finding references quickly and more effectively is change up your search terms every 2 minutes. Listen, if you don't find what you're looking for in the first 2 minutes, you ain't gonna find it, all right? It's just not worth it, it's not worth your time. And then finally, make sure on your references, make sure you don't look for exact things to copy. You wanna go ahead and get possibilities and then get a plethora of them, and then you can figure out what you wanna do afterwards for some of the other reasons that we're gonna talk about in this video today. But once you go ahead and you do this, you limit down your time, and you limit where you're going, and you limit how much you need to do. This will grant you the ability to just launch, all right? And that's really important. If you're not sure how to do that, I got you on this with the next few tips here too, so don't worry about that. But we need to prioritize action. Research is not progress, it's the precursor to it. All right, y'all, step 2. If you're sick of eating frogs and you don't like doing all of this nasty hard stuff first, let me just go ahead and simplify this, because you're gonna be overwhelmed at everything you have to do at the outset and where you wanna go, and you're gonna be questioning yourself, and I get that because I'm there with you too, friend. So what I want you to prioritize is just thinking about what are the simple things that you can do to make some progress, to start driving along that road, to start taking your first few steps, okay? And I'll tell you why this will work so well. But at the outset here, instead of you sitting down in front of an artwork and being like, oh my God, it has to look like this and it has to do this, and I'll talk to you about those expectations later today too. But for right now, just focus on what do you need to do in the next 5 minutes. Just focus on 5-minute decisions. Where do I need to go here? Where do I need to go there? In the next 5 minutes, I need to do this. If you, instead of just looking at this in terms of its entire goal and the entire glory and grandeur that you desire, friend, You just need to start to take a look at that as far as what are the minor things that I can do right now. If you start to get lost, confused, doubting yourself, anxious, whatever it is, just go ahead and ask yourself, in the next 5 minutes, what can I accomplish? Can I work on that hair? Can I work on that eye? Can I make this border? Can I script out my YouTube video? Can I start a new listing? Whatever it is, because if you really compound all that, watch how magical this is here. If your goal was to go ahead and just work for 1 hour a day on this, okay, then you have made 12 different pieces of progress. You have made 12 decisions that launched you more forward than when you started that day, okay? And that's what we want to achieve. That's what we want to focus on. We want to just make progress, okay? But just focus on not what the big, ugly, hairy, scary goal is. And what this will do for you, friend, is that this will build confidence. And the next time you hit that barrier of like, oh, I don't really know what to do, what can you start on over the next 5 minutes? You don't even have to finish it, but just start it. All right, step 3 now, you're going ahead and you're doing your stuff, but you've got this big, huge goal. This might be a really big, ambitious artwork. It might be a really big project. You might be making a game. You might be making a comic. You might be making a card game, whatever it is, okay? And the best analogy I want to give you is the analogy of how do you eat an elephant? All right, now hopefully you're not eating elephants right now, but the analogy goes like this. You don't eat an elephant in one bite. You eat it one piece at a time. And so what's really important for you to understand is that you have to chunk down your goals. So many times do so many people go ahead and they look at what they have to do and they look at the entirety of the work and they look at the entire scope of it. And at some point in this process, and I'll talk to you about why and where that is in here, because I know where your pitfalls are going to lie, my friend. But you're going to start to feel dismayed. You're going to start to feel disinterested. You're going to start to feel demotivated by it, right? And because of that, you just need to understand it's because you're looking at a project span that is too big for you. And our brains don't handle overwhelm or ambiguous goals very well at all. So the way you want to do this is go ahead and look at it in terms of what do I need to do and what are the pieces of it. Now, like for example, if you wanted to go ahead and start an Etsy shop, okay, you have to go ahead and you have to take pictures and you have to make listings, you have to make descriptions. Each one of those is its own separate task. If you want to start an art YouTube channel like me here, what do you have to do? You have to script the video, you have to record the video, you have to edit the video, you have to go and upload the video, you have to optimize the video. Because of all that, you have to see it as everything that you're doing is a collection of very small pieces together. And I'll also advise you today on how you can go ahead and incentivize that so that this is fun, it's exciting, and it helps to motivate you along the way too. But for right now, just look at it in terms of what do I need to do, not in its entirety, but smaller pieces. How do you break that down? How do you go ahead and make this more manageable? And then through making it more manageable, you're gonna make it more achievable for you, friend. And let's just say too that you're somebody who struggles with focus and attention. One of the best techniques I would advise you to use is something called the Pomodoro technique, which if you've never heard of this, is basically you go ahead and you work for 25 minutes and you take a 5-minute break. Then you work for 25 minutes and you take another 5-minute break. Now, the key aspect of this though, is that you have to take 5 minutes with no screen. So you can't look at your phone, you can't watch TV, you can't go ahead and scroll through Google, you can't go ahead and watch YouTube. You have to go ahead and just have an actual rest. That means you sit down, you close your eyes, you go walk outside, you go take a walk, you go to the bathroom, you get a drink, grab a snack, all of that. That is an actual break for you, okay? And then you come back and re-engage. And what that does is it helps you to refocus all of your attention. And this is especially great for people that are neurodivergent, people that have ADHD. This has been found to be a highly proven and effective method for you, friend. Now for step 4, you're gonna go ahead and take a look at, again, what are those small pieces? What are those 5-minute tasks, those 5-minute decisions? And I'm gonna give you 3 different versions of how this can be effective for you, for anybody watching this right now. But you wanna go ahead and you wanna itemize everything that's there. And here are 3 different ways, again, that you can go ahead and you can approach this. Step 1 is, if you're somebody like me, I'm hyper type A, so I like to just see everything that I have to do. This is helpful for me. I like to go ahead and do it at work. I like to do it in my artwork too, and I'll go ahead and write out everything. And so just to oppose what you're probably thinking right now, if you have to make a character in the background, don't write like make character, make background. It's too big, it's too ambiguous. What do I have to do? I have to make the face, I have to make the hair, I have to make the eyes, I have to make the clothes, I have to make the boots, I have to make the weapon, all of that stuff. Then in the background, what do I have to do? I have to make the trees, I have to make the castle, I have to make the foreground, the background, the middle ground. When I see that right there, this gives me something actually to attack, and then you can see how this pairs with the previous 2 techniques. If you're not loving that version of it, if that stresses you out to here, don't worry. Here's what you can do, is go ahead and just make a list of goals for yourself every single week. You don't have to look at it in its entirety if that's overwhelming to you, but just like every Sunday, just check in with yourself. Okay, where do I want to go? What things do I want to accomplish? And be specific with it. Again, don't just be like, make this entire thing. break it down. What are the components of it that you have to make? And then if you're somebody who's more type B, somebody who doesn't really want that like hyper organization, then go ahead and just put these on sticky notes, okay? And you can go ahead and put them around in any order. Now, the big thing too is I want you to also kind of gamify this. I want you to go ahead and see how this is going to be a type of reward system for you. And so one of the best things that I recommend that people do is they turn this into some type of a checklist. I don't know about you, but whenever I have a list, I love to go ahead and check it off. That gives me an immense amount of satisfaction. And this also serves as a dopamine blast to you. Now, again, if you want to make this physical, what do? Do you shoot an arrow at them? Do you go ahead and crumple up your little sticky notes and throw them away? Do you light them on fire? I don't know what you do, but have fun with it, all right? And if you got some great strategies for this, go ahead, drop it down below so that other people know too. But it's really important for you to go ahead and do that and check in with yourself. And to also use that to help keep you on track so that when you inevitably get in those moments of like, oh, I don't know what to do, you can look down and say, oh, okay, well, I can do that. Oh, I feel like doing this. No, I don't feel like doing that. And you can approach it in any order that you want. This does not have to be strictly adhered to, my friend. And one of the most important things that I would do along these lines too is that you should definitely go ahead and update these weekly and then also monthly if you've got a really big project. How's that sound? All right, so we're gonna slow roll into step 5 here because I understand that if you have done the previous things, how you're going to feel, what your project's going to look like, and what your energy level is towards it. Because this is typically around the time in the middle of it where you started it, but you're not proud of it, but it doesn't match what you wanted it to, but it doesn't meet your expectations, but it's not as legendary as you hoped for it. It used to be something you were deeply passionate about, but now it's not. Does this sound like you, friend? Because here's why that's happening, is that first off, you are challenging your expectations. And always, all the time here as an artist, y'all, your expectations are always going to be far more elevated than your execution. That's always going to be the case. They'll never meet. And so because of that, here's what I want you to understand, is that every project takes on a life of its own. And then I would say that this is one of the hardest things for artists to grapple with, especially when you have a near and dear project to you. And listen, this doesn't even matter if it's something that you've been paid for or it's something that you've been thinking about and ruminating about for years. You're going to experience the same exact horror. You are going to be like, oh man, this used to be so awesome. And I used to love this thing. No, now it just doesn't look the way I want it to. Boo-hoo, poo-poo. And the reason why is just because, again, you need to think about this in terms of like, this has now evolved. You started off at the most uninformed level. You've started off with the least experience into it. And now, boom, you're into it and it's changed. And so what I would advise you to do is to not have strict adherence to that, is to go ahead and be flexible with it. And the best way I can go ahead and put this into another analogy is that I think that every parent thinks they're going to be the best parent in the world until they become a parent. And then you realize that you've got this little life form that doesn't do everything that you want, that doesn't do it the way that you like it. And then it also doesn't listen to you. That's the best analogy I can give you for what you have struggles with and why you don't complete your projects, is because you're challenging and you're fighting it the whole time instead of just saying like, well, my little artistic child up on here, it wants to do that. It will look better like that. I need to go along with that. So don't be afraid to change your ideas. Don't be afraid to butcher what it used to be. Don't be afraid to shift directions, my friend. You have a beautiful life right there, artistically speaking here. And your only duty is to go ahead and let it live and let it breathe and let it experience everything that you are going to do to it. And I promise you, you will feel so much better about your projects when you just adapt it, you support it with reasonable expectations. And then just to also on that note, give you this one too. Every project that means a lot to you, it will always take more time. It will always take more energy and effort too. And again, just like parenting, that is also something that you need to come to grips with. And if you accept that instead of fight it right there, then you're going to be more proud of yourself. And we're going to talk today too about why that's such an important factor for you and how you can go ahead and do this better. So what do you think of that? Do you struggle with this too? Next, if you're really struggling, if you're not sure what to do, or if you've been going at this for a while and you just don't feel like you have the help and support that you need, please consider hitting that like and subscribe, because I'm going to be here every single week to help give you advice, tips, motivation, and business advice to go ahead and get you through to that next level, to help you break through those barriers that you see, and to also help and support you in the way that you want and need from. And if that helps you and this video is helping you, please share it with somebody that you know. And now that you've done that, let's roll into the next step. Now, as you're going through this process, it's very emotionally demanding. It's very physically demanding too. It's very demanding of your time. And one of the greatest things that you could probably do is go ahead and do something like find a group, find a support group, find a partner, find an accountability partner. All of those things work wonderfully. It's nice to have people going through the things that you are. However, though, Quick caveat though. I want to warn you how that can turn toxic really fast, okay? Let's just say that you found a great Discord server, people that you like. Let's say that you're going to go ahead, you're going to make a board game, and you want to go ahead and you want to talk to all those people, and you want to always go ahead and put up your whips, and you want to go ahead and ask them for help and advice, and you are going to start to use them for validation at that point. Or let's just say that one of your major things that you want and need in order to sustain yourself through any project is that you need people to tell you, oh, good job, or this is looking good, you're on the right track, yeehaw cowboy. And so the challenge that I really want to expose here is that you can't sit there and rely on other people to be your force for why you're moving or why you're not moving forward with your project. Because I see this all too often. And just to consider this, if you don't get the response that you want when you go ahead and you post it up on whatever social media platform, whatever Discord group, whatever subreddit that you're putting in, and you don't get enough upvotes, and you don't get enough likes, and you don't get enough attention, nobody responds to you, nobody says good job, then what? Then you feel deflated, right? Or let's just say too that you get discouraging advice too. Well then, that's also something that can hurt you, okay? But that's not to say it's the same as critique, just to be fair. And one of the things that I want to really make sure that you do is don't go looking for other people to validate it. You need to start with that always within right here, okay, everybody? Because the validation that you seek is never exterior, it's always interior. Everything you need is right here, friend. And so what I very much recommend that you do is that you can use those groups, you can go ahead and share it with an express intent, like when you only need direct feedback, when you only need help. Those are all fine, but don't expect other people to help bring you along in your journey. You have to do that for yourself. And so one of the things I very commonly recommend is like, hey, just don't show this thing off for the next 3 to 6 months. If you've got a single illustration that you're doing, maybe it's for a client or a book cover or whatever, then don't go ahead and show it until you're nearing the end. Nobody really cares that much about the beginning of it anyways. And everybody's got way too much to say about it most of the time. So really safeguard what your emotional investment is into it. And then the other thing I would ask you to consider is this, my friend. Have you taken enough time to like really sit there and ruminate and love it enough before you let other people start to insert their opinions? Because I fear that if you do that, then you're not gonna ever develop the relationship with your artwork that you want and you need. You ever consider that? All right, step 7 here. Let's go ahead and let's talk about what you need to do and what you are focusing on. One of the most common pitfalls that I see all the time is that you don't know what you're actually focusing on. It's almost like you have a whole bunch of random baking ingredients, but you don't have a recipe that it all goes into. Because let me just give you some of the horror story versions of this one. Never say to yourself when you're making artwork, oh, this has to be good, this has to be great, this has to be excellent, it's gotta be portfolio worthy, it's gotta go ahead and attract people, oh, it's gotta be trendy. Those are the most worthless metrics that you can ever pursue in art. And why is that? Because they're completely ambiguous. And that's completely subjective too. And just realize this, anxiety lives in ambiguity. Anytime that you are uncertain about what you're doing, no, that's when demotivation hits you so hard. So for example, let's say that you're making a manga, okay? What do you want to do with that chapter? What should be the feeling on that page? What do you want to do through this character interaction? What type of emotional reaction do you want your reader to have? And so if you're making a single artwork, here's my personal advice for you is I always have 3 focal points. I ask myself, what are these 3 things? Number 1, what's the focus? So compositionally, where does everything point? Where does it lead me to? Number 2, what's the mood? How should I feel? How do I want to invoke that emotional reaction from my audience? Number 3, what's my learning objective? What are things in there that I don't usually do, I've never done, or I would like another opportunity to do that maybe I didn't do so well on in the past? Through doing that, I'm not focused on, oh, is everything great about this? Because real talk, it won't be. And that's a poor way for you to learn. That's a poor way for you to go ahead and sustain anything. Instead, I have actual concrete metrics. Did I meet that goal? Did I create that mood? Does everything point me towards that? Did I meet that learning objective? Maybe my learning objective was perspective. Maybe my learning objective was I wanted to go ahead and try a new light source. Or did I want to go ahead and make a character with a totally different body type or a different creature than I usually do? When I latch onto those, I actually have something to assess myself with. And that's really important for your assessment, which we'll talk about in a minute too. And this is, again, the biggest pitfall that I see is that so many people get this made because it doesn't look as good as you want. But I want you to understand that is a trash way of assessing anything that you're doing. So through your art project, friend, what if you went ahead and made everything you're looking for much more concrete, much more accessible, and therefore you can actually be fair, and this will help keep you going. All right, step 8. While you're going to go ahead and you're working on a long-term project, whether that again is for a client or it's for yourself, it's really important for you to also structure some days off on it, all right? And I really emphasize this, especially because for myself personally, I'm a very busy person. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I work a full-time art job. I also go ahead and do client stuff. I also go ahead and run a mentorship. I also am in my doctoral program. And of course, I run this YouTube channel. And because of that, one of the things that I make sure that I do is I structure a day off in here. And I want you to do the same because you need that rest. You need to go ahead and make sure that you recharge your battery. Otherwise, all this does is just devolves down into work. And if you're ever feeling to yourself like, man, this is just so much, I can't keep it going, you might just need a day off, my friend, okay? And then on that note too, what I would very much recommend that you do is you very heavily consider what you are doing on those days off and if they are sucking more energy from you or if they're giving it back to you. And so myself personally, one of the things that I would very much recommend that you do is on that day off is that you limit your screen time, okay? Because what science actually tells us, what psychology tells us about it too, is that the more time in front of a screen, the more anxiety inducing that is for you. See, in the moment, it's pleasurable. But what it actually does for you is it actually induces more stress because you have to focus and you have to do a thing. It's not helping you de-stress, it's helping you escalate it. And on that note too, like, what do you like to do? Do you like to take walks? Do you like to exercise? Do you like to get outside? Do you like to play with your kids? Do you like to take your turtle for a walk? I don't know what you do, but go ahead and just ask yourself like, okay, what can I do on those days off? Can I sleep in a little bit more? Do I read a book? Do I want to go out and hang out with my friends? So those would be all great tasks. And I would very much recommend that you make that at least one day. And listen though, if you are really serious about your project though, another thing I just want to advise you on, make sure that you don't have more rest days than you have working days on your project, okay? Because if you have an unbalanced split, then you just have to really take a look at your commitment level and ask yourself like, is this really what I want to do? If you actually want to do this for the reasons that we'll talk about in a second, then I really think that you need to consider your efforts and where your life will go and how much more rest you'll be able to take when you can sit back and you can feel that gleam and that glimmer of confidence in yourself and pride. How's that sound? Now for step 8, this is a big consideration for you. I'm going to tell you that this is one of my main driving factors. If it's a big, huge honking project, you are inevitably going to be met with some level of resistance. You're going to be met with your emotions telling you that it's hard, that it's taking longer than you want, that it's starting to go ahead and flare up your anxiety, or you're just not starting to feel good about it. And let me just present this to you like this. That is going to happen. It's a natural part of any process that through anything that you want to do that's meaningful, it will inevitably induce struggle because you will never, my friend, you will never ever go ahead and do anything meaningful without some type of struggle. You can't grow a muscle without it totally breaking down. You can't grow a seed without the seed totally destroying itself. And that's the mindset I want to bring to you, my friend. When you get to those deep, dark times, when push comes to shove, or when you're asking yourself, how do I force myself to do it? I don't like that terminology. Like, force yourself? Like, why? Did somebody put a gun to your head and say, sit down and draw or else? No, but instead, here's the way that I want you to ask yourself this. Is what you're doing going to build pride in yourself, okay? How is this going to build confidence? You see, most people have this mistaken and flawed logic that what you're doing can only be achieved if you have confidence, if you feel good about yourself. But that's not actually how it works. In fact, what you will find is that you will discover your motivation as you go through it. And so one of the number one things I want to ask you, friend, is the decisions that you make, are they going to bring you pride or are they going to bring you disappointment? Is you in 10 years going to look back at what you did and didn't do and say, I'm really happy that you did that? Because just imagine this, okay? Roll with me here. What if you in 10 years looks back and says, hey, I'm really, really proud of you. This was hard and you had to go through a lot and you had to learn a lot throughout this process, but you did it. You did it anyways. And I'm so happy for you. And you helped me get through my struggles I was going through. And because of that, I'm now able to live a much richer life than I used to have. And it's all thanks to you. What a future you could look back and say that on you. However, though, what we often do is we tend to make really short-term investments into poor decisions that don't bring us pride, they actually whittle and erode our pride and bring us disappointment instead. And so think about the you from 10 years that could look back at you and say, oh, you didn't do it again. Are you serious? You had all the time and opportunity to do that, and now you're 10 years older and you've got 10 years of more responsibility and you've got 10 years of less energy, and we're still in the same place? Which version of that do you want to bring? Because like for me, I always think about this too. If you've got somebody, especially that you support, like I support my wife, my kids. And so I think to myself every single night, like, what did I do today that would make my family proud of me? And I don't just mean like I just went to work. I mean, just because, to be honest, we all got to do that. There's nothing special about that. But what did I do to move my family along to make them proud of me? It's a powerful way to think about it. So put this on yourself or somebody else and tell me down below what works for you. Now, step 9, once you really hit that well of despair, once you feel like you have hit your deepest, darkest corner, you're feeling like, oh man, my anxiety is really flaring up right now. I just can't do this. This is too much. I'm so overwhelmed. Here's a great method that I've developed. And this is actually developed from watching Seinfeld. Y'all ever watch this show? One of my faves. And so one of the greatest characters on there is George Costanza. And there's this fantastic episode where he does everything opposite. Now, if you're not familiar with the show, he's a complete loser. He's an idiot. He does everything wrong. He screws everything up. But in this one episode, he does everything opposite of how he would normally do it. And he gets so much success, and he gets so much more happiness, and he gets the exact opposite result of what he used to do. And so one of the things that I do is I call this the George Costanza method. And I'll ask myself, okay, if I don't do this, how will I feel? If I didn't work on this artwork, what would I be doing instead? Have you ever asked yourself that? Because it's so easy to just give into what seems great in the moment or what seems great right now. But just to be honest, right now is usually not the place you want to be in 10 to 20 years from right now. And so what would you be doing? Let's say you just go ahead and give up that video game project. Go ahead and give up your manga that means a lot to you. Go ahead and give up those OCs. Go ahead and give up that client work. Where are you going to be in 10, 20 years? How are you going to look back at that in your moment? What would you be doing instead? You're just going to sit down, get home from work. You're just going to play some video games. You're just going to watch 3 to 4 hours of TV or Netflix like the average person does. You're just going to sit down and just be a lump on a couch. You're just going to be a little potato. Does that sound like an awesome life to you? You're just going to go ahead. You're going to exist for everybody else. And then you're going to come home and you're going to do nothing for yourself. Does that sound like really what you want? Does that sound like something that really enlivens you? What would you call that? I think that you got to be honest and identify like that's just mediocrity. That's what most people do. But my friend, you're an artist. You chose this path. You chose this lifestyle. And so the path of the creator is to actually do things that other people are too afraid to do. And when you embrace that, you get a massive superpower. You ever consider that? So the next time you say like, oh man, I don't really want to do this. I want to abandon this. I don't really want to get into this one. Ask yourself, okay, what am I going to do instead? And when you really start down and you take a look at just the slew of nonsense, of unmeaningful tasks, of really skin deep desires that you get to go ahead and satisfy, is it really worth it? Now, step 10, you're going to have to also learn how do you go ahead and properly assess what you're doing. You're going to have to learn how do you go ahead and optimize every single time that you've got a session, every single time that you're working on it, because it's not going to all get done at once. And you're going to have to continuously refine everything that you need to do at this point. And to help you out with that, I made an entire video about it right here. So go ahead and check it out. Thanks so much. If this helped you, please share with somebody that you know. See you next time.